So, good evening, good morning, good afternoon to wherever you're tuning in from. You're welcome to this week's Forex Outlook with Grey White FX. As always, this is being sponsored by Trading Pro, prolific, proficient, professional. We trade together as one. So, as always, we're going to start off with the economic calendar. And so, looking at the economic calendar, Monday is a bit calm. Tuesday has lots of red flag news, lots of red flag news. Tuesday has lots of red flag news, many of them on the euro, pound, and dollar index. Then Wednesday is calm. Wednesday is calm. Wednesday is calm. No major high impact news during London and New York session. Thursday, there's going to be a party on Thursday, advanced GDP for US index for the dollar, unemployment claims and pending home sales, and also on Friday. So this week is going to be a little bit interesting. Monday will be calm, but Tuesday, the party starts. So as always, we're going to start off with the US 100, the dollar index, EURUSD, GBPUSD, gold, EURGBP, pound yen, and euro yen. So if we look at, let's start off with the euro US 100. Looking at this, we can see that price has broken out of that range I've been talking about. This weekly 1, 2, 3 has broken out of that range. So now we can see that this is clearly bearish on the weekly, but I believe it's going to try to fill this fair value gap here on the weekly. So if we go down to the daily, can already see it has swept this low, and there is another block here. There is another block. This was the last down candle before they broke this high. So that's where price is coming into now, going into this new week. So if we pull back my annotations, if you notice, we have a fair value gap at this point. So the possibility exists that price may spike below here going into this new week, and we might see a corrective move to the upside. Because even if we look at it, price has bounced off a monthly fair value gap between here and here. That's where price has bounced off. So if we go into the weekly, the possibility exists that we might see a second move to the downside. Because looking at this on the daily, this might just be a break retest of this point. So if we go into the 4-hour time frame or 1-hour time frame, we'll be waiting for something like this. Maybe if price does not rally first, if it does this, then give something like this, then we know that the continuation, we might see a sweep of this high first, then probably here. But this is still bearish, but from the higher time frame, it's coming into an area where it has broken out of, which might push price to bounce. So we need to be aware of that. Like I pointed out here, it's clear on the weekly. No, not on the weekly, on the daily. It's clear on the daily. This was a high that was broken by this point. So we have a fair value gap in here. So price may drop in there and continue to the upside. But when price broke above this high, there was no retest. So price, that's what price might be doing now to move higher. And this fair value gap from the monthly rhymes with this high. So going into next week, there's a possibility we might see maybe a sweep of this low and then a retracement to probably gone for this high. So that's it for the US 100. It's still bearish, but where it is on the higher time frame, we might see a very strong bounce going into next week before a continuation to the downside. The next we are going to be looking at is the dollar index. The dollar index is still bullish. Look at it from the weekly. It's still bullish, although the weekly has what looks like an indecision candle. But this is still bullish. If we drop down to the daily time frame, we can see we already have a fair value gap. Price dropped into this volume imbalance I talked about and dropped. So the possibility exists if we look at this on the 4-hour. This low hasn't made a new significant high, although it took out this other block here, but it didn't make a new high. So we might see a move into this daily fair value gap, and within that daily fair value gap, we have some other blocks. So we might see a move down, probably to sweep here before a continuation to the upside. That's for the dollar index. Still bullish, but we might see a bearish retracement before a continuation to the upside. So the next one we're going to be looking at is EURUSD. EURUSD is still bearish. Let's look at it from the weekly. This pair is still bearish. This pair is still bearish, but it's at this point. So this other block here, price has closed below it. So we might see a retracement to move lower. If we go into the daily time frame, not much on the daily, but if you go into the 4-hour, you're going to see what I'm about to show you. So if you look at the 4-hour, this set of lows took out all this high. So this is a retracement. So going into this new week, we might be looking for a rally into this daily fair value gap. There's a daily fair value gap here, as here, between here and this previous week's high. Let me go back to the daily. We have it between this point and somewhere here. So we might see price rally up into that area and into the 4-hour fair value gap. You can see the 4-hour fair value gap is between here and here. Rally deeply into it before a continuation to the downside. So that's what we have on the Euro USD. So you'll be looking for something like, depends on what price does first. If it decides to go down or if it decides to continue the up move, then you wait for something like this for a move to the downside. That's for the Euro USD. The next pair we're going to be looking at is GBPUSD. The GBPUSD is looking at it from the weekly. And see this pair is very bearish. It's dropping into this weekly fair value gap, order block, bullish order block. If we drop down to the daily, you can see that price is coming into a daily fair value gap and this order block here. If we drop into the 4-hour and put in our annotations, it sees a lot of annotations here. Let me remove this. So looking at this, we might see a retracement back into this range and a rejection. A retracement into here, rejection, and a continuation to the downside. If you look at this, you see the Euro GBP USD is pointing down and the Euro USD is pointing up. I will explain when we get to EURGBP. So the next one we're going to be looking at is gold. Gold is still bullish, but it's in a kind of a range, but it's still technically bullish. So we need to be aware of that. So for this pair, we might see a bit of a down move, probably to come down here before a continuation to the upside, but this pair is still bullish. To any down move, you'll be looking for an opportunity for a long. I would update us as the days go by. Then the next one we're going to be looking at is the EURGBP. The EURGBP has finally woken up after months of being in a coma. As you can see, this partial range price has broken out of it. Although price is still within this area, this is the reason why you have a weaker pound and a stronger euro against the dollar index. So like I always say, if you must trade the Euro USD, you must have an idea of what the EURGBP is doing. It gives you an idea of which is stronger or weaker. So for this pair has now broken out. If you notice, we have lots of Euro news on Tuesday. So I believe those that have been selling, they've started taking profits, and that has lightened the load on this. the pressure on this pair. So we might see a bit of a retracement into this 4-hour fair value gap. We might see a bit of a retracement into this fair value gap. The consequent encroachment comes in at 85.83. So we might see a bit either there or the 25 at 85.90. Then a continuation to the upside to probably fill in this daily fair value gap. Probably fill in this daily fair value gap. So that's what we have on the euro. We have a bullish euro going into the new week. Although long term, it's still down, but we're looking at a bullish move to fill in probably this range here. So next we're going to be looking at is the pound yen. Pound yen is still bullish, but it's in a range. As you can see, it's in a range on the daily. No new highs, no new lows. If we go down to the 4-hour time frame, this is just basically what we have. So we have always like equal lows here. So you'll be waiting to see if price sweeps this low and gives bullish evidence to move to the upside. But you can see clusters of rejection here. So if we go to the 1-hour time frame, you might just wait for a retracement into this fair value gap and then a move to the downside on the pound yen. Last but not the least, euro yen. Do you see the same thing? This is why you need to pay attention to it. You see, this is down, but this is up. So if this is to continue bullish, you'll be better off buying the euro yen than the pound yen. So for this now, this still looks bullish, tilting to the upside. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Still tilting to the upside. So it might, going into this new week, a retracement might see it come to sweep these highs. So, but basically, it's still in a range. Still in a range. That settles it. Do I have any questions? Any questions? Or any pair anybody want me to look at that I didn't look at? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in the absence of any question, I think we're going to. Hello?
Good night. I
Okay,
said
so,
thank you. Good night.
okay. Wish everybody a beautiful Sunday and a lovely trading week ahead. Good night, everybody.